Tonight's project is a new Marx Santa Fe 8352 steam locomotive. This belongs to a friend of mine and it does not have a motor. So he'd like me to put a motor in it. And right behind it I have a tender that goes with it. And just for reference, behind these two is a set that belongs to me. It's a gray Santa Fe, and I think this is the way that most of them came, in the gray. Now I've noticed a few differences. The black one that he has a rounded nose. The marker lights are on the top, and the one that I have, it's similar to the old 391 style, where the green marker lights are on the boiler front, and it doesn't have the rounded nose that this one has, so that's different. Of course, it's black instead of gray. Then I noticed on the tender there's a little bit of a difference too. His tender has a gray base, my tender has a black base. I almost wonder if this tender would look better with this locomotive and this locomotive would look better with this tender, but that's for later to decide. But right now I want to select a new motor for this. The new Marx Motor looks like this. It's electronic. It has a DC motor inside. I don't know if you can see that. There's actually a circuit board in there. And one of the things, since this has a worm gear, you can see down inside there it has a worm gear. When it's stopped, it's stopped. A Marx Motor generally freewheels because it's an open frame motor without that worm gear. So that's one of the differences. In selecting a motor for this locomotive, I first grabbed an old motor out of looks like a 666 or a 1666. That would be really great if this had smoke, but unfortunately it doesn't fit and the height comes out wrong and the screw holes will not line up. So that's out, unless I wanted to do a lot of changes. Then next, I've got a pre-war motor, and if you noticed the difference on a pre-war motor versus a post-war motor, it has a two-piece electrical pickup on the pre-war, typically spoke wheels. On the post-war motor, it has the Baldwin drivers. It has a one-piece pickup. This particular one has the double reduction gears. You can see the difference. There's two sets of gears where there's only one set here. So this goes direct to the armature. There's an intermediate gear and it goes direct to the wheels. This spur gear goes to the armature. Can't see that, it's in the way. It goes to the two intermediate gears, a little gear cluster, and there's a smaller gear here that drives the wheel. And the difference is the gear in the pre-war motor and a lot of the post-wars goes clear down to the flange, and that fouls on a lot of switches, especially Lionel switches. And these ones with the reduction gear, the gear doesn't go all the way down to the flange, and so it safely passes through a lot of switches. And so therefore I've decided to use this motor in his locomotive, and I think you'll be happy with it. It runs good. It has this style of drive rod, so I added a piece that will line up with the screw holes here. And as always, it takes a 632 screw. These are really short, they're 1/8 of an inch long, and that way they won't interfere with the drive rods as they go back and forth. So let me put this in and we'll put it on the track and take it for a spin. The new motor went in nicely, so we're all set. Got everything on the track. I decided to put a train behind it to make it more interesting, and we're going to do mostly cattle cars. There's the Norfolk and Western, the Chicago Northwestern, which was a TTOS car, the Burlington cattle car, and then I threw in a Burlington box car because I like it and it adds a lot of color. And last of all is a Santa Fe caboose. So we'll get it started right now. I thought it would be fun to double head these two Santa Fe's, so I've made this little brass adapter so that you can run two Canadian Pacific style locomotives together and double head the train. I think Charlie will like his new locomotive. I think it turned out really good. Thanks for watching.